By the way, yes, we have pay to win in the game. You have a separate button for this. Nothing new in terms of some mechanics class, new stuff, new directions, a new glossary. Quests are not planned.
Knock knock, travelers! This is a new episode of Knock on a Coffin Lid Video Diaries. We will tell you about the latest development news, as well as answer your questions that you asked us on social networks. Vladislav, our lead developer, Andrei aka Inri, the founder of Red Boon, and I, Nastia, the community manager of Knock on a Coffin Lid, are here with you today.
As for Venatus, we have final tests going on, and we are already satisfied with what we got. We have taught pets to appear, disappear. They are now called up in battle. You have a separate button for this. They respond by making some kind of effect when called upon or recalled. This gives opportunity to make new cool combinations, where Venatus has become an independent shooter who receives various buffs, like the summoning and recalling of pet, while she can protect herself from fatal attacks at the expense of pet. In general, each pet has its own mechanics, so we are really waiting for when we finish testing to deal with all the terrible bugs and put it at least first on the test branch, and then into the game itself.
We continue to update and add new animations for the events. Now, for example, work is in full swing on preparing backgrounds for events such as an abandoned tavern, the fat captive, and a wounded brother. And we are also working on the idol of the Fire Brothers.
And we are also concerned about the issue of long boss fights. There are some builds that make the fight endless. Well, it can lead the fight to infinity. If you couldn't defeat the boss in 10-15 turns, then you should probably lose already. After some turns, the boss will just go into a rage and deal an increased damage, take off your buffs or something else. And this is the way to get new achievements of winning the boss after enrage.
This week, we started another giveaway of 5 more Steam keys for Knock on a Coffin Lid. To participate, follow the link in a post in our community on Steam or on any social network. Complete short and easy tasks, and then the system will randomly select the winners. But if you fail to win this time, do not despair and do not go too far away. We plan to host such giveaways every week.
Bugs. The work on bugs does not stop for a second. We find new bugs, you find new bugs. In addition, I want to draw your attention to the delightful bug icon that appeared in the main menu, a small button at the bottom. This is a way to send bug reports directly from the menu. Please use it. By sending us a bug report, you not only report an error, but also provide valuable data that will help resolve any issue much faster. Thank you.
Oh, I actually have a question about bugs in my list. What is the funniest bug that occurred during the creation of the game?
I don't want to build up positive views of bugs in my memory at all. Otherwise, you want to see them more often, and probably of the most fun ones. Well, for me, the talking boars and wolves.
I don't want to see them more often, honestly.
This is when you have all your fantasies about hooligans come true and talking wolves like, "Hey you, stop for a second, where are you going?"
What forest did you come from?
Yes, and the bug when Venatus is sitting on a raven was also funny.
Yes, bugs can be fun, of course, but I would like to have fewer of them. To be honest, I really liked the bug with the huge Percival. I laughed out loud when I saw it for the first time, especially in battle, when you have a small Percival on one side and a huge one on the enemy's side, and he also points out to you threatening with his mace.
I quite liked the bug when it was possible to wear an infinite number of items on Percival. Well, not just on Percival, on any character. It's like a many-layered fur coat, kind of cabbage of things. It's like playing Munchkin, a board game where you run through the dungeons, collect loot, put it on yourself, run on.
And now, let's move on to the questions for developers. In social networks, you wrote to us about what you would like to know. Let's get started. Where should I start learning? Which genre is better to choose for the start?
I would divide the overall work of game developers into 3, so to speak, elephants who hold everything on their shoulders. Do elephants have shoulders? I would probably highlight here such moments as programming, coding, working with code, whatever you call it, working with the game engine. It's more of a user interface, rather some kind of entity as a constructor. And finally, this is the way of thinking of a developer, a programmer, whatever you call it. And if the latter, I would add directly, what comes with the experience. Therefore, we will not consider the last thing as an answer to the question of where to start learning. There are two options left. Start either with programming or with learning the engine. I would probably recommend starting with programming as well, because anyway, the work of a developer is a very large amount of coding. And if you are not ready for this, if you imagine that you do not need to be able to program there, I am sure many advertisements say this. You do not need to write a single word of code at all. You do not need to know anything, just move the squares, the game will assemble itself. No, it's not like that. I assure you, you will be programming a lot. But it's very interesting, and later you will see how the lines of your code turn into animations, into a game, into effects, into whatever your soul desires. But speaking of genre, the answer here will be quite simple. Just choose the genre that you like to play or that you would like to develop.
Vlad, what do you think? Which programming language is the best way to start learning?
First of all, I would ask the question, what excites you more? Is it the creative part of the work, or are you going for some kind of financial well-being? Therefore, if this is a question about finance, well, just look at the job market and choose the one that pays more, which is more common. But if you choose for your soul, I probably advise you to choose the games that you like, the games that you would like to develop. Here, you are playing some kind of game, and you want to make the same one. Look at what it was made in, what language they used to write in this engine, and start learning it. If for some reason you realize that something is wrong, it's never too late to change it. Don't be afraid to start, just try it.
From your point of view, what is the most difficult part of being a developer?
The most difficult thing, in my opinion, is to find a balance between the quality of development and the speed of development. The development, its tasks, the actual bugs that we are talking about, it's all like Hydra. You solve one, two appear, solve two, 222 appear. Therefore, sooner or later you will have a desire to shorten your path somewhere, to make a not very beautiful, not very clean, or not very successful decision that will bite you later in the future. But sometimes you need to do work in time for a certain patch. Deadlines are set, and it's not very good to violate them either. This is, in my opinion, the most difficult work in development.
I would like to make a small remark on this topic, because this is why the development of our entire game was so delayed, because there were a lot of these quick solutions later when the game expanded and scaled. And now it has given us a lot of problems, which made us have to rewrite everything all over again. In fact, by saving 5 to 10 or 30 minutes of your time when you are doing some task, you may be creating a problem for yourself in the future by spending these 30 to 50 minutes on finding the issue. And the problem arose because you saved time before. Well, or then you have 200 tasks, 200 bug reports from users. Because if there is another problem, also speaking from our experience, it is when you try to do something incredibly cool, incredibly good, so that it should be immediately of very high quality. And it takes you months to develop some kind of mechanics, or not mechanics, but let's say tools, and in the end, no one really used them, because no one really needed it there. It was needed for some small task in the future. Maybe someday someone will need it to solve some problems, yes, but you've spent a month now, and your entire development has shifted. The entire release of the game has shifted by a month.
Were there any mechanics that we wanted to add, but didn't add them simply because they didn't fit into the game?
We wanted to make a card auto battler, and there is still such a desire. We even have some groundwork. It would make a different game mode. In fact, another game practically, which we just wanted to stick inside. I remember we redid the final battle 3 times, because the first 2 times we did it, we looked at it, it didn't fit in. There were animations that didn't fit, but it's not about mechanics. It's animations when they didn't fit the style. The animators made a cool animation, but it looked very bad in the game. But there are such animations I think we still have in the game, that is, which may seem to fall out of the overall picture a little. For example, a new animation for Card for the Gold Digger class, and guys did their best. They made a bunch of flying coins, which are collected in a bag. Then it fell on head, but it seemed to us more like a cartoon, I do not know. That's why the animators have redone it a little bit, but maybe you will have some better ideas. This is how we wanted to show the pay-to-win card. By the way, yes, we have pay-to-win in the game, but this is only a card.
What will be the support for the game after the release? And will it be?
It all depends on how much the players like the game, how much they will play it. Because if we didn't succeed and we didn't hit it and no one will play the game, then most likely there will be no support at all. So if the game is a success, not only do we like it, and there is good feedback from the audience, and there will be a lot of activity, then, of course, we have big plans, including the addition of a full-fledged DLC, which is almost already finished. And I was talking about the Auto Battler, which I would really like to finish. Maybe it will be funny, cool, interesting, because even in the demo is already cool. Well, it's already potentially cool, and then we'll see if there is a strong success, then we have more to tell and to show. But in general, we would probably add more with some modes, some modifiers, some new formats. The story itself will most likely not continue, because the DLC Millenni's Nightmares ends it.
Tell more about your team, who is working on the project, how it looks, and it is interesting to visually see each participant of the project. What format do you work in?
Unfortunately, we probably will never be able to do it. We would really like to take a group photo where the whole team is together in one photo, but we'll try to draw it. Most of us work from home, we are scattered around the world. I would say that probably 95% of our employees have never seen each other in person. To gather people in one place, rent an office, and so on, we just can't afford it yet. It would hit the budget of the game very hard, and it would probably increase in price. That's why at the moment we are still working remotely. But if we have some success and have money, then of course, we will probably gather somewhere. Because working together in the same office is much more efficient, more fun, and I would say more productive than everyone from home.
How, and most importantly, when will you realize that the game is ready for release?
Of course, there are some improvements, which in fact, we will be doing for the last 3 to 4 months. But otherwise, the game is ready, nothing new. In terms of some mechanics class, new stuff, new directions, a new glossary, quests are not planned. So now we are more engaged in voice acting, text writing, and more engaged in polishing the game. We want to make events more understandable, so that you can get where to go and what to do, besides just go defeat the last boss. We want you to remember which events you passed and which you did not pass. These are the things I would like to do. And after that, that's it, the release. If you have any strategies, interesting questions, bugs found, or you have found some kind of strong builds, share it with other players in our Discord. We are always open to this. Add the game to the wish lists if you haven't decided to play it yet, but it will help us too. The more players add our game in the wish lists, the better Steam shows this game to other players. Subscribe to our social networks to follow the news and our new releases. We share all our novelties very quickly and often. That's it. See you next week or next month, as it turns out, if we have any news or any new questions from you. Nastya, Vlad, and I, Andre, aka Inre, were with you. See you soon.
I was glad to talk. The most important, do not be afraid to try new things. Believe in yourself and follow your dream. Bye, everyone.
Bye, see you!